Welcome to the Pineapple Pinup, the Hot Wife Life podcast. On today's podcast, we're going to talk about the black and white party that I went to, um, my take on oral sex without condoms, and I do a bit of reading with a little bit of history to it. Um, it's kind of a shorter episode today. We went to a party over the weekend. It was a black and white themed party. It was, since the theme was black and white, I wore a black dress with a black bra. My husband wore a white Steelers polo, which had black in it. And we looked really good. We looked casual, but on theme. My husband and I took off way too early, and we ended up getting there, and we were so early that we decided to go inside and just have a drink. So we went inside and had a drink, and I got a margarita. And as I may have mentioned, I'm not a big drinker. I don't drink at parties because I like to be 100% coherent of what I'm doing and be able to consent from a place of 100% coherency. So one drink isn't going to kill me. But then we were so early that I got a second drink. And that, because I drink so rarely, I mean, maybe 6 times a year, I'll have a drink. They hit me a little bit hard in the beginning until I can kind of metabolize my way through them. So we were there, and I had had my second drink, and the party host came down to have a drink with us, and that's why I guess the second drink appeared. And so I was a little giggly. I was a little tipsy. I was a little and then we went upstairs, and there was nothing to do because there was nobody there. There was nobody to talk to. There was nothing going on. And so I went and laid down, and my husband was like, crap. Should we just go home? And I'm like, no, I'm just chilling. Just let me chill for a minute. So by the time everybody had shown up, I was still on the bed. I was still sitting there on the bed, minding my business. And we started talking to the people who were arriving. I met a new girl. We'll call her Hay. Hay was very sweet. She was nice. And she had come with another gentleman. He came over and sat next to me. And it was more than apparent that, I mean, I played with him before, but I can't say as I remember what we talked about previously, or that we even had much of a conversation. But it came up that, the black and white theme. And they were like, oh, that's a theme? And I'm like, and so I was talking to him and the I love you guy and my husband. And I'm like, yeah, when he gives you the title of the thing, it's the theme of the party. And they were like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah. And so because of the fact that it's supposed to be the theme, I tend to try to follow that theme so that when I show up, I'm a part of it. And it kind of gives me that, instant set of belonging because we all understood the mission. You know what I mean? And they were like blown away by the fact that this was something that we should be striving for because it's a way to create instant camaraderie, instant tribe. These people are with me because they're on the theme kind of thing. And I don't know if that's why there is a theme or if that's why women try to follow the theme, because I got to tell you, all the women that showed up there were on theme. I don't know if it's just a girl thing. I don't know. But Mad Max ended up being there. Jeff came. I was so grateful. And Jeff was actually on theme with his outfit. It was awesome. But he didn't come until later. And then, let's see who else was there. The cannoli was there. There was an older gentleman who came. He was wearing a white fedora and white slacks, again on theme, and a brocade vest. He looked very dapper. He was an older black gentleman, and I did something pretty horrible. Because of the fact that he came in looking so incredibly dapper, I nicknamed him in my head Red Fox. And that was going to come back to bite me. And that was going to come back to bite me really, really hard. But I will get more into that. So anyway, so as you can tell, when these people come in, I kind of nickname them. And then there was the young gun. He was there. And this was the first time I'd ever seen Young Gun. And I honestly, he told me his name, and I cannot tell you what it was, even if I did that. There were some other gentlemen there. The party host had two regular guys being his security that day. And our good friend was there, who she had been absent for a while, and she came back, and we ended up talking about why she had been away. And it was very, very interesting. And I was really grateful to see her. She has been at many of these parties, and she had been absent, and it was a noticeable absence. But I'm just grateful that she's back and that everything is good with her. That, all's well. Now, let's get into how the night progressed. So I'm there and I'm talking to several gentlemen, and B came, another gentleman I'd never really met before, B, came in, and he was sitting there. And there was another guy that I know that I have seen around, and I don't know if we've played. I think we must have played. But I don't really, it is all becoming slightly blurred. But in this particular instance, he was there, and he was wearing a towel for most of the evening, which, great. But honestly, I never got a chance to really play with him. There was another gentleman who showed up later, but let's kind of get into it. So the rules are read. The starting gun has gone off. It's time to get started. So I went back into the room that I had kind of co-opted, and I took off my dress and my bra and put on my robe. And the gentleman, we'll call him Dre, came in, and he was like, wow, that was quick. And I'm like, I had 2 articles of clothing to take off. How long was I supposed to draw it out? And he was like, okay, I see your point. And so we ended up playing. Now, there was not a lot of prep work going on here. And I was like, we're good to go, whatever. And he started playing with me, and I Love You Guy there too. And he was playing with my boobs while Dre was going to town. And then I was massaging my clit while Dre was playing with me, while Dre was fucking me, and Dre hit a spot, and it like just everywhere, just spray, and it was very interesting because no, it wasn't interesting at all. I'm sorry, it was not interesting. It was I got a handful of wet, and Dre got kind of drenched a little bit, and both of them were like, oh, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, because the last time we'd been in that exact same room, some guy had given me a bunch of attitude about the fact that I'd sprayed on him. And I was like, I'm so sorry. This is not something I'm really controlling. And they're like, no, we like this. And so Dre started in again, and then he did it again where he hit something that ended up setting it off. And this time he was in the same maneuver, only further out, and ended up just soaking me from the top of my forehead all the way down my stomach, to the point that it was pooling in the carotid hollow, okay? In that crike area where they crike you on TV. Okay, that little hollow where your collarbones come together was a puddle, like legit a puddle. There was a puddle between my breasts. There was a puddle so, it was so bad that I literally was like, we have to stop, because it was on my face. It was everywhere. So I had to get up, and I had to take the towel, and I had to use the towel to basically clean, like wipe everything down, because it was a hot mess. And then Dre was like, oh, I guess we're done. And I'm like, no, I just needed to dry off, because I literally had puddles on me. So we went back at it. And the thing about being somebody who does that without warning, without any sort of, it becomes sort of the thing that everyone's looking for. Okay. So I played with I Love You Guy, and this time he didn't get emotional. This time he did very much like, this is such good pussy. This is such good pussy. And he was so earnest about it, and he was so intense about it, and he was so emotionally grounded within this moment. And for me, I realized that it doesn't matter what's coming out of his mouth. He's bringing it from a place of deep, deep emotional gratitude, because that's just the way he has sex, which is great. I'm in. I'm down for it. I love it. Not him, but I love it. But we ended up playing, and then Mad Max came over, and he started out the night not being drunk. But by the time I left, he was toasted. And he was toasted on Southern Comfort, and I could not figure out what the smell was. But then as we were leaving, it dawned on me that was the smell. Because he smelled like this sweetness, almost like pumpkin pie adjacent. For some reason, that's what kept popping in my head. Something with cloves and something with sweetness, like honey and something, So I'm literally building recipes in my head, trying to figure out what this guy smells like. And he ended up getting a little too sloshed to actually play with me. So, that's fine. So Jeff showed up, and Jeff and I played, and Jeff and I got each other off to the point where it was like I ended his night. But he knew that he had to leave early, so that was actually working out pretty well. But Jeff came and played, and Jeff and I, we have such a good rapport. So Dre came over, and Jeff and I were kind of hanging out, and I was sucking Dre, and I was kind of on my side, and I was trying to figure out what Jeff wanted to do when Red Fox came over. And this is where my nicknaming of people fucked me hard. So he crawled up and he's like, I want you on your side. And then I had put one leg straight and he was straddling it and he goes, no, that doesn't work for me. Put both legs over here. So I was basically an L shape. I was on my side and my legs were pointed at the headboard. My mouth was pointed at Dre's dick. Jeff's behind me. And Red Fox is fucking me. Is fucking me from below the L. And then he was trying to get more access. He was trying to get a different angle. And to do that, he would lift my top leg. And when he lifted my top leg, I could not get it out of my head that Red Fox is going to wishbone me. I'm going to get wishboned by Sanford and Son. And it kept going through my mind. And when something goes through my mind, just like the whole thing that happened with Jeff, when something goes through my mind, I really can't. I'm so not trying to let it come out of my mouth. I'm so concentrated on that it literally is like eating everything inside my soul because it wants to come out. So he was like, oh, I need to go take a break. So he took off and went to go smoke. And I looked up at Dre and I said, oh my God, Red Fox just tried to wishbone me. And Dre started laughing so hard. And behind me, Jeff is hysterically laughing. And then I'm trying to keep it together. And then, do you know what those two fuckers did? My husband's on the couch across the way, giggling. And those three fuckers started doing da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. Like, I was like, are you guys seriously doing the theme song right now? Because I had a really great time, okay? He was fucking me really, really well. And he was doing such a good job. I mean, seriously, like such a good job. And it was unfair of my mind to put me on a track when he did something as simple as lifting my leg. It was so unfair, but funny. Oh my God, was it funny? But so after after we played, he went out and then he came back and then we didn't really get another chance to play. But I was playing with Dre for a while and then things started to devolve. No. Okay, so yes, things started to devolve because Cannoli came over and started fucking me. And for some reason, it wasn't working for me. It wasn't doing the trick. It wasn't getting all the way there. And so I figured I might be done for the night. But then he tapped out and Brian went in. But then he tapped out and B went in. And when B went in, it was all systems go. It was literally like I was coming all the time. And then this other guy came and I was playing with him and he was jackrabbit fucking me. We're talking as hard as he could. As hard as he could. Now, I don't know if you know how sensitive certain body parts are. But the body parts that are down there, when you slap at them, become a little sore. they become a little there a lot of blood flows there. Everything becomes very, very warm. And it is a good thing, but at the same time, it might be overkill kind of thing. And that's what he was. He was very much overkill. So he took off, and then the cannoli came back. And the cannoli does this thing where he puts his leg on top of my leg and then pushes my other leg basically out of his way. Which, if he pushes it towards my torso, cuts off my air supply by restricting the use of my diaphragm. And if he pushes it to the side, he basically tries to dislocate my hip. So he was going at me at such a rapid speed and such... I don't like that he uses me like origami. I hate that. I hate that he doesn't have a care for the fact that my body parts are not in his way. My body parts are attached to me, and I am actually a person that he is trying to fuck. If he wanted a fucking pocket pussy, he should have gone to the fucking store. PrivateAdventures.net has an entire supply of them. Just saying, it's out there. But I'm not a pocket pussy. And if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for somebody who doesn't have any legs that are going to be in your way, then go do that. But the fact that my legs being wherever the fuck my legs need to be is somehow intrusive to him, somehow blocking his pleasure, to the point that he has to injure me to get off, I'm not in for that. I'm not down for that. I don't go to these parties because I'm trying to be in subspace. That's not why I go to these parties. I go to these parties to be 100% fucking present. 100% there. So, he wasn't getting what he wanted. He wasn't getting the splash zone. Because of the fact that there's something about him, I think, that just isn't working for me. And I think I have to man up now and say, I don't think it's working. Because I don't think it's his fault. But I think that there's something about him and I that don't mesh. And because we don't mesh, and I've tried, I've got to put a halt to it. And that's 100% something I have come to that conclusion after this evening. Because he fucked me to the point that it was like he injured my hips. And I'm not young. I'm not spry. I'm not something that you can fold like an origami crane and just jump right up and be recovered. That's not who I am anymore. And I think that because of this, I need to be frank about my consent now. That I have come to the conclusion. Now, mind you, he had my consent at the time. 100%. But I myself need to stop giving that consent. I need to stop giving him that consent because of the fact that he is not playing in a way that I enjoy. And now that I have the proof that I have not enjoyed it a couple of times, it's time for me to woman the fuck up and say, I don't think we can play. And that's okay, because there are plenty of people there, and there's plenty of room there, and go play. So he ended up cutting my night very, very short, which was a real bummer because I was having a great time. But I can't recover from the injuries the way that I used to. And because I can't recover from the injuries the way that I used to, I need to be really cognizant of what these people are going to do to me and put a halt to it before it becomes something that I can't recover from. Boy, yeah, it was a rough night for that. And yeah, it was a but we ended up getting out of there and then going to dinner, and I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. Okay, I got an email from Jazz. Hello, my partner and I have recently discovered your podcast and have been binge listening to them. We enjoy your open discussions. We've been active in the lifestyle for a while now, and we're always interested in hearing the adventures of other lifestyle members. I appreciate your comments about using a condom. Getting an STD is a concern for me. I'm wondering about your thoughts on oral sex. It sounds like you're giving blowjobs without using condoms. Do you worry about getting an STD from oral sex? Thanks for sharing your experiences and answering my questions. Okay, now I am going to preface this as being 100% my thing. Okay, this is how me and my partner choose to do the lifestyle because I have an irrational fear. Okay, that's the only way to say it. I have an irrational fear of choking to death on a condom. I do not like the taste in my mouth. There are so many things that bother me about that I can't really get my mind around doing it. So I have done research, and it is not impossible, but it is less likely that you'll get an STD through oral. There are a bunch of factors that lead to getting an STD that way: an open sore in your mouth, broken skin, some kind of wound. I do my best to mitigate that, to mitigate my exposure. And the only thing I can say about it is that my fear of catching an STD orally is much less than my fear of dying from choking on a condom. I don't know why that is. And that is 100% my hang up. And I do not recommend it for anyone else. This is not a show of, of me telling you what to do. This is a show of let's explore some ideas. My thing with oral sex is very rarely do people come in my mouth because that's not the aim. And when I do have someone come in my mouth, it's an experience that is about me and my partner, not about the person. I get tested regularly. I get tested, I'm going to say every 3 months. Sometimes it's 3.5 months, but I get tested very regularly because I'm not trying to bring something home to my husband, obviously. And I know that, and I have told every doctor that I go to that I am in a high-risk lifestyle, and that I am aware that I'm in a high-risk lifestyle, and that I'm not hiding it. So I have doctors that are on my side trying to constantly keep me as safe as possible, making sure that I get the testing, making sure that I get the X, Y, and Z. There is a reasoning behind that for me. I want to continue to have sex the way I need to have sex. And my husband and I we have literally talked it to death. We have talked about the risk versus the reward. We have talked about the possibilities, the statistics, the whatnot about STDs orally. And it is a risk that he and I have decided to take on. Now, I am not advocating for anyone else to do that. I am advocating that you have a conversation. If there's something in the lifestyle that you want to be a little bit more risky about, if there's something about breed play that talks to you, if there's something about bukkake that talks to you, if there's something about a gang bang with a, money shot finish that talks to you, then talk to your partner. Find out where their line is. And as long as your lines coincide, then that's where the consent and moral line should be drawn. My husband and I, the stinking scientific, the scientific level of statistical analysis that we have done to get to the point where we are giving consent for oral without a condom has become, it's epic. I mean, we're so busy analyzing the data that it takes a little bit of but we have determined our health and safety risk. And we have decided that that is what we want to do. And we ask that anybody who's in the lifestyle who is testing positive for anything, that you know that and know when you should not be engaging in certain activities with other people. I understand that a lot of people don't want to know. They don't want to know if there's something wrong. My husband was very much an ostrich type of person when he thought he had some health concerns. But one day he woke up and realized something's wrong. We got to do something. And he went and he did something. The fact is that you can't protect other people by not knowing. So I highly recommend everybody get tested. Let's Get Checked is a great online place to get STD tests done from the privacy of your own home. There is nothing stopping anyone from getting tested. There are free clinics. It is everywhere. I cannot advocate enough for getting tested and wearing condoms, okay? For sure, condoms. The only place where I am allowed to be risky, the only place where I am allowed to shove off the data and say, this is the one thing I can't do. I just can't do it. I can't even handle the taste of the condom in my mouth. It freaks me out. So, and I mean, it's never 100%. Never 100%. And what we are engaged in is a very high risk lifestyle. So as long as you and your partner are agreed that you're willing to take on this risk and you're being as safe as possible about it, I am not going to stand in anyone's judgment. I'm also not going to advocate for anyone to do something that is risky. You need to do that for yourself. I am advocating solely for the lifestyle itself. How you do the lifestyle, how you and your partner engage is 100% between you and your partner. And I personally am I am doing everything that I'm doing with the consent of my partner and myself. And that's basically the reasoning behind what I'm doing. Do I know that there's a risk? Absolutely. Have I weighed that risk? Absolutely. Am I making clear consent choices? Abso-freaking-lutely. And that's kind of what you need to do for yourself. How I play is between me and my partner. And I am not ever giving anyone else authorization to do something, ever, because it's not my place. You don't need my consent, unless, of course, you're trying to play with me. Then we'll have a consent discussion. But you don't need my consent. You need to do things with your own consent. And that is pretty much all I got. This was a writing I wrote 2 years ago today, actually. It's called The Up, the Down, the In, the Out. It was planned with hotel room reservations and texts and times. It was excitement and build-up. And how could it possibly live up to the hype? We had met before, a night with a group that started with one-on-one with him. He made me squirt and ruin the bed for the rest of the night. Anyone looking to rest their head was going to be resting in my juices. So I knew he was going to get me there. The hotel room, MTV playing videos from the 90s, actual music videos, dressed in blue lingerie, my husband greeting our guest, a kiss hello, and then I'm seeking that cock. I know why I came, so I could come. And he was going to get me to my destination many times. A towel on the bed to protect. He came down over me and pressed his hard cock into my dripping hole, and I squeezed. If you keep shoving me out, I'm going to have to fuck you hard, he warned. I laughed. That's not a threat. Fuck me hard, I told him with a grin. He smirked and plowed me hard, his cock slamming my G-spot, causing me to start coming, and it did not stop. Every stroke of my pussy met with the glee and juice, the sloshing and the rocking and the making me insane. All the while, filmed by my husband. Okay, we used to meet people at parties and then set up play dates. And to be completely honest, that is still something that we would be interested in doing. I do have kind of a roster, kind of a stable that I currently play with. Because when you find people who are terribly, terribly good at doing the thing that you are trying to get done, it's good to go with a little bit of history. But the lifestyle is kind of a combination of that. It's kind of a combination of history and mystery and taking on new adventures. And it's fun to go back and think about the first time that you met so-and-so at a party or so-and-so at your first play date. I'll be honest with you. My first play, I believe that was about Jeff. I believe that 2 years ago today, I wrote that about Jeff because we had met at a party and he did ruin the bed for everyone else for the rest of the night. And then we did exchange information and we met at a hotel not long after. Thank you for joining me today on the Pineapple Pinup, the Hot Wife Life podcast. As always, reach out to me on my socials, which are in the show description. And if you'd like to, hit me up on my email at pineapplepinuppod@gmail.com. I really look forward to hearing from you. And I hope that you're getting something from these questions. Um, Let me know.